Welcome to Fortress of Faith with Tom Wallace, calling North America to repentance and revival.
Welcome back to the Corner of Truth and Courage. You're listening to Fortress of Faith. This is Tom Wallace. Well, this week, we've been talking about America's Greatest Challenge. This is segment number 4 as we talk about Islam being America's greatest challenge. I believe there are some other challenges out there. Probably our next biggest one would be the doctrines and the system of Marxism, especially as it's been adopted into our young people, into our schools and colleges now for decades. This devilish, destructive ideology has been swept up by much of our young people. On top of that, I believe the greatest challenge is the religion of Islam. And we've been kind of breaking down its goals, its conquest of its history, and what they've done in Europe. And I go to Europe for a number of reasons. Number one, because I lived there 29 years and I saw it. I saw the growth. I remember as a little boy, Muslims only lived on like 2 or 3 streets. When I came back to the States for college and returned back after being gone for about 4 years, and they were growing, but when I came back as an adult, then I began to really pay attention to stuff. They had moved, those 2 streets that they lived in were 2 miles away from us. Well, then they took over my estate that I was living on, and that was 2 miles away from where they were. And it's, they just kept growing and spreading. And the way that they did it in Europe is that 2 families would live in one home, most of them getting benefits from the government as immigrants and being on the dole system. And one would be like the senior partner of the 2 families, and the other one the junior. And the 2 of them would then buy a business together. They would get loans from the government, and they would buy a gas station, a restaurant, or something like that. They would usually find small businesses, a newspaper shop and stuff. And then they, because they could control their own hours and control the employees, and everyone in their family worked there. And they'd have kids, and the kids would work there. So they wouldn't have to pay employees there, and they would profit very, very well, pay back these loans. And then the junior family would move out, buy their home, bring in a cousin who would then be a junior family, and then the 2 of them would go and get loans and buy another business. And so it just continued to domino effect there. And I watched this. I saw this. And a lot of the British, well, why can't we get loans like that? Why can't, they seem to always get preferential treatment, and it's created a great deal of resentment. And finally, I think the British are fed up. They've had enough of this now. Islam, you need to know its tactics have changed. They realized, and I started talking about this a few days ago, they tried to take Europe with the sword, and they failed. Twice they were pushed back. The thing about the West that the Muslims have learned is that we in the West fight, and we fight well, and we usually win. And they usually don't have the armies to succeed to take us down. So any war that they've had with us in the West, they've lost. There's a terrorist organization that I think is the most dangerous terrorist organization there, because they've watched this and they've realized we need to change our tactics. We need to stop trying to destroy the West with the sword of jihad. We need to come in and fight within, but act like we're doctors and lawyers and teachers and citizens. They've used the old Trojan horse method. I believe the terrorism still serves its purpose, because the terrorism acts like a distraction. My dad used to be a magician. He was a preacher, but he did gospel magic, and he was a member of the magic circle in England, and he did quite a bit of magic through the years. And so, I learned some of his stuff through the years. And one thing that a magician will do is that he'll throw your attention to get you looking one way with one hand. He kind of, we're all watching this hand, but the trick is being done with the other hand that we're not watching because we've been distracted to look over here. Something to the left is going on, and that's what we should be watching. And that's what I do. I have been carefully studying what the other hand is doing. And I've documented it in Europe, and I'm seeing it being replayed here in America. And I want to reveal to you some of its players. I believe the most dangerous terrorist organization is the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood came out of Egypt. The Ottoman Empire came to an end in the 1920s. Well, Bahana rose up in Egypt in 1920, and he was a fundamentalist. And thus the Muslim Brotherhood started. There was a number of fundamental groups, the Wahhabis over in Saudi Arabia and the Iranians and all that. We started seeing this, and they've got branches that are militant. That's what Hamas is. Hamas was started by the Muslim Brotherhood. There's no secret about it. It's right in their charter. There's nothing covert about that. But where they have been covert is that they've realized we can't take Europe and America with the sword. We've got to come in with other ways. And so let's look at that quickly. They first came in with the Muslim Student Association in 1963. They started in Chicago with one college, and then they've been spread. Every major college and most high schools of major cities will have an MSA organization, Muslim Student Association. From them got started in 1982 ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, which is just outside of Indianapolis. It's their headquarters. Then another arm came in. It first was known as the IAP, the Islamic Association of Palestine, but they quickly changed their name in 1994 to CAIR, the Council of American Islamic Relations, and they are the civil rights organization. This is where they've got lawyers and political lobbyists. Their headquarters used to be in Chicago, but they moved when Obama moved to the White House. CAIR followed them. They're 2 blocks away from the Capitol building, and they have full-time lobbyists, about 8 to 12 of them there that work, and other staff to just lobby our lawmakers to get what they want. Then you have the North American Trust, Islamic Trust, started in 1973. That's the bank. That's the financial system. 80% of all the banks, 80% of all the mosque in America is owned by NATE. Now, they're usually very careful in talking about what their real motive is. But a newspaper reporter snuck in down in California to one of their meetings. They didn't know this reporter was there, and she was recording. So July the 4th, 1998, Omar Ahmed, who's one of the founders of CAIR, he was saying to the Muslim compatriots, Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to become dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth. So from their own mouth, they've told us that we're not here to create an equal religion, to be co-equal with religion, another religion here. No, we're going to be dominant. We're going to dominate it. The Quran should be the only authority in this nation, not the Bible, not the Constitution, the Quran, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth. Now, they would never admit, in fact, they've tried to get that removed, but the recording was there, never would they take it down. If you put a spotlight on CAIR, you'll find that they really are not here to kind of really be friendly. They're here to destroy from within. And the proof of it was a memo that was found by the FBI. It was found, let me see, do I have the year on this there? I used to have this. This was found back when George Bush was president. That's when they found this document. It's known as the General Strategic Goal of the group in North America. It's about a 14-page document in Arabic, and then the other 14 pages English, translated by them. It's poorly translated, but nevertheless translated. It was 2004. The FBI raided the Virginia home of the Hamas leader. His name is Ismail Embrace, otherwise known as Abdul Hassan. He was a school teacher in Virginia, but he was a leader in the Muslim Brotherhood. They raided his house and found a secret hidden room in his basement, and there a cache of weapons and documents. This was probably one of the most important documents ever discovered, about this movement here. And I'll read to you from page number 7. It says, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process, with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic for the Muslim Brotherhood, for the brothers. The Ikhwan must understand that their work in America is a grand jihad by eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. So let's go back. Let's think what we're just read, because sometimes when you hear stuff, you don't have the time to really digest what was just said. So here in the Muslim Brotherhood document, to the memo to the group in North America, that their mission is a grand jihad to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from within, sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. Now, they use the word jihad. Jihad doesn't necessarily mean warfare. It actually means the struggle against evil. And there's a word in the Quran for us as unbelievers. The word is kufar. And it's a dirty word, actually. But that's the word the Quran uses for when we translate it, we use nicer words like unbeliever or infidel. It basically means you're the filth. You're the excrement. If you just think on that for a minute, then you understand really what that word is about. And so you're destroying, you're struggling against the filth, the evil, the wickedness. And Islam teaches that as long as there is filth, the unbelievers here, that there'll be no peace. But when you rid the world of them or make them Muslim, then you'll have peace in this world. So that's their objective. They want to destroy every unbeliever. So they're here to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from where? Not without, not to send armies in, but to come within and to destroy it from within and sabotage it. And they have been busy. They have elected 6 people now into Congress as U.S. congressmen. 4 of them are still serving. 5 of them are still serving out of the 6. One that's not serving anymore is Keith Ellison. He's the Attorney General in Minnesota, still holding high office. And so, as I've said, the goal is to destroy from within. And you say, well, you're a racist. You're a bigot. No, this has nothing to do with race. Islam's not a race. Bigotry is not, if you expose an enemy, that's not a bigotry. That's simply identity. We're identifying a potential danger. And I believe Islam is being raised up as an instrument of justice. Is there hope? Yes. Join us tomorrow for part 5 as we talk about the hope for America in this great challenge.